Alrighty, another week of me trading this 50k eval, and last week I did manage to stick to my rules and setups most of the time, which I think was some improvement there despite what people say in the comments. But now for this week, I did want to keep up that momentum by sticking to my rules and mainly focus on using my setups around the moving average lines. So will I be able to keep following my rules, or will I crash out this week? Okay, to start off this week of trading, I did see price ranging a bit overnight, but we did get a small bounce higher, so I was leaning more bullish as long as price held above these 100s. Off open though, price just popped straight up towards last week's highs. We did see a slight rejection, but that got bought up, so today might just be a day we keep pumping up. We were miles away from my moving average line though, so I didn't have a clear setup to take along, meaning I just had to sit there and watch as price did keep popping up. There was a slight rejection here, so if price could get a decent pullback to sweep these lows and bounce off the moving average line, then I wouldn't mind taking a stab long. But yeah, we didn't get that as price just kept pumping. At this point, I probably wasn't going to get a setup for today, so I decided just to call it a day here before I chased into some trash trade. With that decision, I'm starting off the week with a little no trade day. Another day on the charts, and for today I saw that price low-key was leaking lower overnight, but I was still leaning more bullish, looking for price to hold above these pre-market lows. Off open though, we did break through that and go even lower. Seeing that I still wasn't convinced on shorts though, because these candles kept getting bought up to form these lower wicks. So when this green candle popped price back above these pre-market lows, I was still bullish, assuming this was more of a sweep lower before we popped higher, but price ended up getting slapped down again. However, that was just bought up, so I was still looking for a quick break and retest of the 5-minute moving average line to get in along, which we did get that break above, so I decided to set a limit order to catch a potential retest off a wick lower. And yeah, a few minutes later I got tagged into the long. I was looking for price to get that pop up now to break above the moving average on the 15-minute chart, but price ended up getting slapped down hard to stop me out for an extra 50 bucks. Even with this fat slap down though, price still couldn't break lower, so longs were still in play for me. I really did want to take a stab long down here, but I was trying to wait patiently for somewhat of a setup with this moving average line first, which I eventually got after this fake move lower was getting bought up. I did wait a bit more towards the end of this candle's close to make sure we would get that break higher before taking a stab long, and price did keep popping higher. Since today has been a little iffy on the charts though, I did move my stop loss to break even a little earlier than usual, because I ain't trying to sit through any signs of a rejection here, and I didn't have to, as price did easily pop up to hit my target to help wipe out my losses from the first attempt. Now I did still have one more trade for today, but after seeing price fail to break higher on this buy up, I decided it would be best to just stop trading here. With that, I was able to end the day a little bit in the green, going 1 for 2, which isn't a lot, but I did stick to my rules, so it's fine. So for today, I might have let my feelings and emotions influence my trades a bit more than these other days, so that's my fault. At the start of the day though, I did see price was still staying within this range from yesterday, which I didn't like. Because of the range, I was leaning a bit more bullish as long as these 200s held, and right off open, price went to go test it with this fat red candle down. Price was able to hold this level though, and did get a decent bounce up. Seeing that, I waited for price to break above the moving average line before placing a limit order for a long to get in on a wick lower, where a bit later I did get tagged in for a long, so I was looking for price to push up towards these pre-market highs. And here's where my feelings came out a little, because instead of sticking to a base hit of 40 points, I moved my target 10 more points up to match these highs a bit more. But before we could even see price pop up here, we ended up getting a fatter pullback than I would have wanted, so I was getting scared I'll just be instantly wrong. However, this candle did end up closing higher to give me more confidence on this long, and the next candle did pop price up 40 points, so I was pretty sure we would just hit my target. I did have my stop loss at break even though to follow my rules, because we could just fall back down, but like surely we'll get 10 more points before we head down 40, right? Oh shit, bro. This candle slapped price right back down to almost stop me out. Luckily, price did bounce back up, so surely this time we'll hit my target, right? Nope, this candle got knocked down with a fat wick lower to stop me out for a small loss. So because just a tiny bit of greed slipped through to make me move my target higher, it costed me all my profits on that trade. After that, I tried my best to shake it off and just move on to the next trade, but deep down, I was still salty. However, with price getting slapped down to these 200s again, I was feeling a bit better because at least we didn't pop up to my target without me. Again though, price held here and was bouncing right back up, so it could be more of a range day. However, instead of waiting, I ended up taking a stab short. Setup wise, it was a risky trade because while we were holding below the moving average line here and trending lower on the 15-minute chart, this was also like the first few minutes of the candle, so we could just flip around to stop me out. And with price getting this fat bounce off the 200s, it was looking more like a potential range, which I shouldn't be trading in. So overall, I would rate this as a C setup, but that is until you point out that this isn't a 40-point target. So I'm shooting for a fat break of this level. In the moment, I'd say this trade was more of a 10 to 90 split, where 10% of my reasoning was logical of my moving average setup, but 90% of this was purely just a feeling that price would get a fat break lower if we did see another move towards these 200s. My feelings weren't just random thoughts though, because after seeing price fail to push to the highs of the range due to that fat selling pressure, we were enforcing a bearish trend on the 15-minute chart, so I kind of was expecting a break lower to continue that trend, and price did end up getting this fat red candle down, so it was possible. I did move my stop loss to break even though, just in case we didn't break this level, but I didn't have to worry about that as we easily broke through it and just quickly hit my target for a fat profit. Now with this move lower, I maybe could have aimed for a fatter target near these 100s. Honestly though, I was just surprised we ripped straight down. With that last trade, I knew my feelings were taking over, so I did just hop off the charts here to cash in a fat green day. Yesterday, I got a little angsty with that last trade, so the goal for today is to get back on that discipline grind and wait for those setups. To kind of help with that, I took a look at the charts from yesterday to see if there was any potential setups that I could have taken, and had I waited a bit more, I would have gotten a better setup here, as price did get this pullback and bounce off the 5-minute moving average line after getting that break lower. So had I not taken that risky short, this would have been a better option that would have played out. But now for today, price was low-key getting rejected at these 100s and was currently sitting in a downtrend, so I was leaning more bearish as long as price stayed below these 25,000s. Off open though, price just ripped up and like it just kept going up without getting a pullback for me to enter on, so I just had to sit out and watch. We did eventually break above these pre-market highs and was starting to slow down a little, so now I was looking for a pullback to enter long on, where we did get a drop down to retest these pre-market highs, but we were still pretty far away from my moving average line, so I waited, and good thing I did wait because price came right to it. Now with this pullback though, selling was looking a little heavy, so I was a little scared we might just keep going lower. Because of that, I did want to wait for a strong bullish candle to close first before entering, which we got, but this ended up being a fatter candle than I wanted because now we were miles away from my moving average line. Still, it was a setup, so I took a stab long with 3 micros looking for that push higher. I did size down because I wanted to have a bigger stop loss in case we did fall down a little more before bouncing back up. After seeing price hold and bounce up here though, I did add 2 more contracts to get to my normal sizing of 5 micros, and this did allow me to tighten up my stop loss a little more. Now all we gotta do is get that pop higher, which we got. I did move my stop loss to break even just in case we just swept these highs and turned around. With this pop up though, I was a good 40 points in profit, so I was thinking of bailing out now to cash in like 400 bucks because price low-key was starting to stall out up here, but I was like, come on, that was a strong green candle up, surely we'll get 10 more points. Yep, price got slapped back down and I got hit with this fat wick lower to stop me out. So once again, I got greedy for 10 points and costed me another winning trade this week. However, this time, literally right after stopping me out with that wick, price bounced towards my target within the same candle, so I was pissed. Like, this was the ultimate fuck you from the market. I tried to calm myself down, but just thinking about it made me want to just rip some trades. Price low-key was just chopping up here though, so it wasn't looking that good. There still was a chance to take a long to catch the break higher, but I was like, fine, I'll just stop here for today because I knew if I lost on a trade, I'd probably just crash out. So instead of doing that, I just accepted the tiny green day today and left. So yeah, that wraps up my week because I wasn't able to trade on Friday since I peaced out for a little trip this weekend. Overall this week I didn't have a red day, so I was able to bring in like 800 bucks of profit, but had I just stuck to 40-point targets instead of 50 points, I could have almost doubled that amount. Still, with this week's profit, it does bring the eval up 1,000 bucks, so I still need about 2k in profits to pass, but I don't really care about that right now because I am just trying to build my discipline to manage my emotions better and to just follow my rules more, which this week was a little shaky with the rules because instead of going for 40 points, I was going for 50 points sometimes, so I just need to work on accepting 40-point moves more. All my trades this week though did fit within my setups involving the moving average line, so that's a dub. There was one little iffy trade that I took on Wednesday that was a lower quality setup, but at least it was somewhat of a setup. So in general, it was a decent green week for me, and while there was some improvement made, there still is mistakes that I need to fix, which will help me catch some more profits going forward. In total, I have spent like 3 weeks on this eval though, so I don't have much time left till the rebuild date, but this time instead of sizing up to pass, I'm gonna just trade like normal to see where that takes me. If I'm stuck on the eval for another month, that's fine by me because I do need the practice still, so I guess I'll see you next week for that. Well, you've made it to the end of this video, and to reward you, I'll give you some new info. Okay, for this week, I do have a little secret I've been keeping from everybody. If you have come around my streams on my alt account over on Twitch though, you may remember that I have been secretly trading on a Top Step 50k account. I don't really record what trades I take on it, so it kind of just allows me to rip trades without the fear of being judged for them. In a sense, it's a little account to feed my gambling urges sometimes. sometimes. Somehow though, I did end up getting funded and I am pretty close to getting a payout. So yeah, that's my little secret for this week for y'all still watching. Now, I won't really show this account on YouTube too much unless I make a video about it because it is more of a secret account. But if you do want random updates on it, you can always check out my little secret Twitch streams where maybe you'll catch me trading or blowing that account live.